Welcome to The Silent Verdict.
With Clara Monroe and Elias Gray.
Everybody else, get back! If you're not involved, move back! Get away! Somebody stay with technically. Everybody else, he has a bomb! Go away!
He's got a bomb on him! Mate, he's got a man, he's got a bomb on his jacket, mate. He's trying to go in a school. Mate, he's stabbed him. No, he's got a bomb. Get out of here. Mate, if he detonates, mate, I'm just jumping out of this in a minute. He's gonna blow himself up. He's trying to press the button. Come on! Like, shoot him!
Imagine this. It's Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. For Jewish people, it's the single most solemn and sacred day of the entire year. A day for reflection, for prayer, and in Manchester, it was a day shattered in an instant by just unspeakable violence. This quote from Rabbi Jonathan Romine, it really just gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's not just about the shock of an attack. It speaks to this deep-seated fear that rippled through not just Manchester, but Jewish communities everywhere when a place of peace was so brutally violated. So let's start by looking at exactly how these terrible events unfolded. So how does a morning of prayer and quiet reflection just completely unravel and turn into a scene of absolute terror? Let's trace the exact sequence of events. I mean, just look at how fast this all happened. At 9:30 a.m., people are arriving for services just like any other holy day. 1 minute later, just 60 seconds later, all hell breaks loose. A car is used as a weapon, and then the driver gets out with a knife. By 9:38, only 7 minutes after it all started, armed police are there and the attacker is shot. The speed of it is just staggering. And of course, behind those stark timings lies a devastating human cost. In those few terrifying minutes, 2 members of the Jewish community were tragically killed. People who had simply come to their synagogue to pray on their holiest day. 2 lives, just extinguished in a place that should have been a sanctuary. But the toll, it didn't stop there. 3 other people were seriously injured and rushed to the hospital in the middle of all that chaos. 1 person had a stab wound, another was hit by the car, and a 3rd was injured as police moved in. The violence was just indiscriminate and absolutely brutal. Right from the jump, the authorities were crystal clear about how they were seeing this. This wasn't some random act of violence. It was immediately classified as something much, much more sinister. So that brings us to the central question investigators were grappling with in the immediate aftermath. Who was the person behind this horrific act? The police identified the suspect as 35-year-old Jihad Al-Shamie. He was a British citizen of Syrian descent who'd actually come to the UK as a child. Now here's the part that is really chilling. Look at that last point. Initial checks showed he was not part of any counter-terror watch program. He wasn't on the radar. And that really highlights the immense challenge that security services face trying to identify these so-called lone wolf attackers who might radicalize in isolation, completely away from any known network. And this detail right here, it shows you just how seriously the threat was taken from the very first call. The police immediately declared a Play-Doh incident. Now, this isn't just some random code word. It's a trigger for a massive, pre-planned response that's designed for a mobile, active terrorist threat. It proves they knew instantly that they were dealing with a worst-case scenario. But even with the attacker neutralized at the scene, the story was far from over. The investigation immediately widened, and that led to the arrest of 3 other people. This, of course, raised a really urgent question. Was this the act of just 1 person, or was this the beginning of a much wider plot? Amid all that horror, though, there were these incredible moments of courage. So let's shift our focus to the people on the ground who stood between the attacker and an even greater tragedy. Eyewitnesses paint this absolutely terrifying picture. It all started with the car driving erratically, rushing past people. For just a split second, one witness actually thought the driver might be having some kind of medical emergency. But that thought, it just vanished the second the car crashed into the gates. The driver, Jihad Al-Shamie, got out and, without any hesitation, just began a stabbing rampage, attacking anyone and everyone he could reach. And this quote from an eyewitness, Chavaluan, it reveals the attacker's ultimate goal. You see, he wasn't just creating chaos outside. His main objective was to get inside the synagogue, where a large number of people were gathered for the service. And here's the crucial point. He failed. He failed because of the immediate and unbelievable bravery of the synagogue's security guards and the worshippers themselves. They physically stopped him from getting inside. There is absolutely no doubt that their actions that day saved countless lives.
The impact of this attack sent shockwaves far beyond Manchester. It prompted this huge outpouring of grief and condemnation, and calls for action from leaders not just in the UK, but all across the globe.
The government's response was swift. The Home Secretary immediately announced an increase in security at all synagogues nationwide. It was a clear signal, really, meant to try and reassure a community that felt deeply, deeply vulnerable. King Charles III spoke for the entire nation, expressing his profound shock and sadness. His words really underscored the gravity of an attack on a religious community on its most significant day. And the condemnation, it was global. The UN Secretary General called the attack particularly heinous, reminding the world that houses of worship are meant to be sanctuaries. They're sacred places of peace, and an attack on one is really an attack on a principle that we all share. But to really understand this tragedy, you have to look at the broader context. Because this horrifying attack, it didn't just happen in a vacuum. It was a violent echo of a rising tide of hate. And this right here, this is the vital context. According to the Community Security Trust, an organization that tracks anti-Semitism, incidents in the UK have been hitting record highs. So this attack, as horrific as it was the brutal manifestation of an alarming and growing trend.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer addressed the motivation behind the attack head-on. He denounced the assailant who attacked Jews because they are Jews. And then he made this really powerful promise of solidarity and protection, a vow to wrap the nation's arms around the Jewish community.
And that leaves us with this final, really difficult question. This attack wasn't just on individuals. It was an attack on a sanctuary, on a faith, on the very idea of safety. So when the most sacred of spaces become targets, how does any community even begin to find peace again?